A number of things happening on the entertainment and event planning for Saskatoon. We have Nowshad Ali with us from On Purpose Leadership, going to give us a little bit of insight into what has and is happening and being planned for. Shad, thanks for taking time again to come down and talk a little bit about this fabulous city and the work that you're doing here. I want to ask you, first of all, things that we've planned and worked on. We had the Saskatchewan Marathon that you were heavily involved with. Just some high-level discussion, first of all, and we can dive into other planning that you're working on. But for something like the Saskatchewan Marathon and other events like that, what is involved in bringing all of that together?
Yeah, we just had the Saskatchewan Marathon last weekend, of course, right? So a couple of the amazing things about that is, number one, there's a spectacular volunteer committee in this city that actually works on this thing. There are about 18, 20 of them, and then as we get closer, of course, there are other committees, but the organizing committee is 18, 20 people who really take their work pretty seriously. They have very specific assignments that they take on to coordinate, and it's funny seeing them come in person to their meetings when they come to the in-person meetings because they got their binders with them and so on coming out, right? A lot of people may not be aware that the Saskatchewan Marathon, it's over 40 years, but number one, it's a Boston qualifier. So we get people coming from around the country, around North America, that are trying to qualify to be able to run in the famous Boston Marathon the next year. And so they can come and run in our race, which means we have some very specific criteria for how we lay out the course, how we measure that course, all of those kinds of things, right? And that's an event that our On Purpose events team really works hard with that core group of volunteers to get planned. Some of the sponsors that are involved, we have the marathon as part of that, is one of the things I'd want to talk about. We have elementary school students who get running just over 2 kilometers a week in their school. And then they come and run on marathon day, the final 2.2 kilometers to complete a marathon. And they finish across the same finish line as the adults will. This is just pure joy. If you ever want to experience just pure joy, fun, come and watch those kids and listen to them screaming as they're running and going across that finish line. So that's a pretty spectacular event, whether it's Nutrien or it's Brain Sport, Craven Sport Services, a lot of these companies get behind this event and they really support it fully. We have over 4,000 people that run in this event every year, and it's spectacular, right? We have had runners from as far away as Africa, different parts of Africa, who've come to this event. And the last 2 years, we did an online version, a virtual version, right? So people could run our course in their own communities and then send their results. Well, when they did that, we had people from around the world, right, participating, which was one of the really cool things to be able to showcase this great city and what we have to offer to the rest of the world through that mechanism. So yeah, Marathon was a fantastic project.
As a lifelong resident of the city, I always am amazed at stories like that thousands of participants and the quality of the events that we're starting to showcase. If it's in fact a qualifier for the Boston Marathon, that speaks volumes to what we can do here. Other events that you're working on, and winter shines, you do it all, the man about town. So what other things are you working on you can share with us?
Yeah, there are a couple of fairly cool things going on right now that are not necessarily these big phenomenal events that we put on as well. But, one of them I would mention actually happening today out at Whitecap Dakota First Nation, for instance. We're doing what's called a Dakota language gathering. So this is an effort to try and preserve the Dakota language. And so we've been working with Chief Darcy Bear and his council, and they have a great committee there as well. That's an education committee, and we're working to help them train teachers and knowledge keepers and get the language, the Dakota language, to be sustained because it was starting to go away. And so seeing the young people actually returning to speaking that language, it's a phenomenal thing actually to see how it affects even their self-esteem, right? The way that they start looking at themselves and their lives and their role in this world changes just even by that simple thing of language preservation. So that's one cool thing that we're working on. We've also been privileged to work with Vito, and people might be familiar with Vito. They certainly during the pandemic, they kind of rose in prominence. That facility is a world-renowned, recognized facility, and our doctors over there do some phenomenal work. One of the cool things about Vito is that they've engaged us to work with them on what we call a community engagement, right? Because they have some major changes coming down the pipe. One, they'll be being escalated to what's called CL level 4, right? So at that level, they're really working on some of the most dangerous critters on this planet, right? The viruses and bugs that could infect us. They have all kinds of precautions and so on there, so people can go to their website, vito.org, and find out about that. Or come later this month, we'll actually have one of the community engagement sessions that'll be happening at the WDM. They're also becoming Canada's research center for pandemic research, and so that's going to be a phenomenal thing. I think one of the things that may not be as well known about them, about this pandemic that we're still in, is that they actually did develop a vaccine. That vaccine, right now, when we look at vaccine take-up around the world, some of the lower economic-based countries are having challenges with getting vaccine. And so Vito's vaccine is actually now being tested for rollout in some of those countries, which means it's a different economic formula that's used to get those vaccines there, right? It's not going to come through some of the larger pharmaceutical companies. It'll go direct through United Nations and those kind of things. So that's an amazing thing as well that's happening through Vito. And again, this group is doing terrific work around the world that's being recognized. And having them do that here, certainly our Canadian Light Source allows a lot of that research that we do at the university to happen as well. So our university that's here, our tiny little university, really is doing world-renowned stuff. And I think it's one of the things that, people in Saskatoon, as you can tell, I love talking about Saskatoon, right? So, but that bias aside, we really ought to be very proud of the people that live and work here and that really represent us well around the world. So, there are those two things that are going on. One of the cool things this year as well for us, Randy, and, so we talked a little bit earlier about Canada Day, and so we'll have Canada Day, July 1st, of course, kind of kick off the summer with that Canada Day events. But then we get to close off the summer as well, because this city goes crazy when they hear it's Saskatoon Fireworks Festival time, right? 65,000 people over 2 days that come down to the riverbank and just have a blast. A blast, yes. And, everything is pretty much free. They got to buy and pay, and we work with our vendors to make sure food and beverages are affordable for people so that they're not having to break the bank to come down and enjoy this. It's been amazing to watch families come and spread their blankets and just enjoy the day, enjoy the entertainment, enjoy each other's company. There's plenty that goes on during that. And of course, when you start exploding fireworks features into the air over the South Saskatchewan River and the backdrop of our downtown and Riversdale and Broadway, and we got that gorgeous traffic bridge mixed in as well. It's a spectacular kind of scenery, right? So those are some of the sort of big things, I guess, that we have going on right now.
And the Fireworks Festival, do we know dates confirmed for this year?
Always Labor Day weekend, doesn't change. We usually shoot the Friday and Saturday. I say we don't like to interrupt Church Day, which here is really Rider game day, right? So normally anyway, I don't know what this year, but we try not to do anything on the Sunday. Or game day, I guess, is Monday, sorry. So what we do is we fire on the Friday and the Saturday. So people that are coming to stay for just the one day, they can do that. And it's interesting because we have about 50% of the people tell us they come to both nights. They attend both nights, right? Of that 65,000 people. So that's a lot of people that come out, right? And it's, again, like I say, it's a tremendous thing, cultural entertainment that happens down there. Lots of stuff for kids and families to do, lots of stuff for adults to enjoy. And everything, they'll be able to find out all the information on our website, so certainly. So, and we couldn't do this without our sponsors, we do call it the Nutrient Fireworks Festival for good reason. They've been an amazing supporter of ours for this festival for a number of years now and continue to do so.
I want to thank you for all the work, Kim, as well, for making the city come alive in the summer and winter months, that you do the good work you do. We'll see you on that Labor Day weekend as well, and hopefully things go into the fall, leading into winter shines. We'll be back to do it all over again.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much.
That's our show for today. I'd like to thank our guest, Nowshad Ali from On Purpose Leadership. I'm your host, Randy Shabila. We'll see you next time on Connect.